So I can't stop thinking about community and how now more than ever, it's what most of us, if not all of us, actually need. And yes, I get it. Having an online community, it is awesome. There's a lot of benefits that come with that. However, it does not compensate for having a physical community in real life. Like, I refuse to raise my children in an environment that I do not feel like is community oriented. I refuse to do it because I understand that long-term community is going to benefit my children more than anything. If you ask me, so many of us right now are facing challenges, ridiculous level of challenges, because we never received a community and we don't currently have one. The number one thing that having a community helps us with is children. It still takes a village. That was chapter 14 in the Black Child's Guide to Surviving America. It still takes a village. So while we're having conversations about generational wealth, when we're having conversation about passing along all of these amazing things to our children, make sure you pass on a community that they can be of service to, and a community that will also serve them. And just because you were not served properly by the community that you were born into, or in the environment that you were born into, just because they did not value community and they did not serve properly in terms of their community role, does not mean that community itself is not important. If you ask me, life is 100 times harder when you do not have a community. Literally, because you're carrying the load of so much stuff by yourself, because of the fact that whatever it is that you're coming out of is probably so toxic, so traumatic, that it's better for you to be out there by yourself, figuring out things by yourself, than to be amongst these people. So I get it. I get when you're coming from what some people will say the trenches, or you're coming from such a toxic environment. However, don't let that negate the fact that you still need community. Just because you had a bad community, a horrible community, a wicked community, does not mean that you don't still need community. When I think about community, I think about things like bartering systems, right? Meaning, I have goats, you have oranges. I really want some oranges. You really need goats. Give me 500 oranges and I'll give you one goat. You follow? Like, it's you pouring in what you have and you being compensated in something else that you need. That is the beauty of community. So where it becomes exhausting is when you keep pouring what you have to pour, and what other people have, they don't pour it, but instead they keep taking. That is not community. That is called selfishness. You follow? So you have to be mindful of the fact of when you're dealing with people, their behavior. They may not think they're being selfish, but their behavior is selfish. Now, what often occurs, and I see this often, is when people will come from such bad communities, they also oftentimes don't develop proper conflict resolution skills and are extremely antisocial. Well, being antisocial and having no conflict or little conflict resolution skills, on top of ego, pride, envy, jealousy, all the things that human beings may deal with, none of that stuff is going to work in a community environment. So oftentimes when people feel like so much has been taken away from them, or they lack so much, they're looking for another area where they can take from, not where they can pour more of themselves in, because they're still healing from whatever it is that they went through, or they're just so tired from whatever it is that they went through that they're not trying to actually give, they're actually trying to take. And again, that does not work in a community environment, because a community environment is more about giving more than you're taking. Because when you're giving more than you're taking, then there's always more than enough to go around. Our Creator provided community for a reason. Us being together and us being able to work together, that is important. And I think right now, with a lot of the healing journey and mental health awareness that's going on, a lot of people are going into the state of isolation, which I understand. But getting away from a lot of the trauma and healing from that does not negate the fact that the reason all of this healing has happened is so that you can re-enter into society a better person, a healed person, a different person. You follow? And I think what's happening for a lot of people is that they're getting away from people and staying away from people, so they're developing a lot of antisocial behaviors and antisocial traits which do not work in a community setting, especially if you lack conflict resolution skills. So if you are in a state of isolation right now, I get it, especially after you've come out of just such a traumatic experience, right? I get that. However, my hope and prayer for you would be that you don't remain in that state, and it also doesn't convert into anti-socialism or selfishness, that you actually begin to develop the characteristics, the traits, the personality, the mindsets that really work well and collaborate well in community environments, that you begin to become the type of person that is so needed in a community because of just what you bring to the table and what you offer to that community. And in exchange, I also pray that you align yourself with a community where the gaps that you have, whether it be you need parental support, whether it be you need business support, whether it be you just simply need just social support, I just pray you find a community that also, while you're pouring into it, that you're compensated with what that community has to offer, that there isn't a deficit there. And I pray that there's so many people within that community that have such amazing gifts, talents, and skills that it causes that community just to be fruitful and to just be such an attraction to so many people. So protect that community, guard that community, but most importantly, be a part of building that community.